Alrighty, welcome to episode 280 of Backpacking America. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. It is November 22nd, and a lot has happened since November 9th when I recorded my last episode. So, first off, I got sick again, so that's one of the more important things. I'm just kidding. But I did get sick again, so we're back. Hi. I'm thinking about I'm just going to do like 2 of these, maybe 3 a month of these episodes, so give you guys more time to listen to it. So, the first topic I want to discuss is Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to California to visit Gavin Newsom. And I got to tell you, the fact they clean the streets off, of homeless people, of shit, of heroin, of drugs and drug dealers and crime for a Chinese dictator, but they won't do that for American citizens, is very telling about where the priorities of California lies. A lot of people joke around saying that, California is a communist state, and, it's not, but socially it is. It's very weird to describe that, and that's a whole other podcast episode. But when you look at the response of how we treat, a foreign dictator who is actively undermining the willpower of the United States by, subversion through propaganda, TikTok, through taking over our physical properties, by buying up farmland and buying up old universities and other buildings, and then, also establishing secret police stations to intimidate Chinese citizens that live in the United States. The list goes on. We roll out the red carpet for this guy, flying Chinese communist flags and putting communist sayings across, the route that he's going to be visiting. Fortunately, there were some cool patriots in the United States that came through and ripped down some of those flags and started fist fights with the pro-CCP supporters, which is pretty based. It also, raises questions too. There was a, where does the president's loyalty lie? We had, United States Marine Corps soldiers opening and holding the door for Xi Jinping after his driver almost hit the guy opening the door, hit the Marine almost opening the door for Xi Jinping. So it's kind of like, and some people say, oh, that was just an accident. They didn't do that on purpose. It's a big car. It's hard to drive. Bullshit. If you're going to be driving the president of the second largest country in the world, you are going to have some serious qualifications to drive that fucking president. Chinese pilots and Chinese ships do frequently play chicken with NATO vessels and aircraft, almost causing incidences and flying very unprofessionally. So it wouldn't be a surprise if the Chinese driver was trying to do that to, say, fuck you, we're more powerful than the United States Marine Corps and the United States, so we're going to almost hit you and you're going to open the door for us. What was discussed in that meeting between Xi Jinping and Joe Biden, I am not aware, but it seemed to have improved relations between the two countries, so much so to where Joe Biden said Xi Jinping was a dictator, and the results of such conference did hold over well. Anthony Blinken did look very, very stressed when he was dealing with Joe Biden, almost like he sold his soul to the devil. So, when he was dealing with him during that meeting, rather, we don't really know what was going on. Some people are speculating something very, very bad happened, and there's no way to really tell if what really happened in that meeting, but it seemed, Anthony Blinken was very stressed about what happened, especially having to handle Joe Biden, who is actively declining as we speak. The latest Joe Biden incident was when he approached a 7-year-old girl, said her ears are pretty, and asked if she was 17 years old. So that's where the state of the presidency is now. We also have, so for me personally, I mean, we shouldn't even be kowtowing to China like that. And, there's a lot of reasons why I'm very, I never liked China to begin with, even when I was in the communist movement. I was never like a fan of them. But now we have this we have a lot of revelations coming out. There were a few labs, Chinese labs, found operating secretly in the United States, and they were working on HIV, COVID, the flu, and a bunch of other very serious diseases in secret. They were not declared labs. They were operating in secret and testing on rats and, human growth hormone, all that shit. So it was very, very disturbing to know not only are there secret police stations in the United States, but these secret laboratories. And my theory now is that COVID, didn't originate from a Chinese lab in China. It didn't originate from a U.S. Army base. It originated from Chinese labs built underground in the United States and distributed in major population centers. If you also don't believe me, if you're in Long Island, Dowling College. Everyone knows Dowling College on Long Island closed in 2016. It was quickly bought up by Mercury International, which is a subsidiary for the Chinese Orient something company. And they're basically affiliated with they're like a bad bank. They hold risky assets to offset any negative impact caused by the Central Bank of China. So basically, this Orient company runs Mercury International based out of Delaware, which is, so they opened a shell company in Delaware, and they basically used that company to buy up American properties and basically resell it over and over and over again. So Dowling College went from being worth $24 million to $44 million because they resold it to another company. And they keep reselling it and reselling it and reselling it, basically using it to generate as much income as possible while doing nothing to actually maintain the property. So the property, nothing has changed. I drove through Dowling the other day. The signage is still up saying it's Dowling College. The buildings are still there. The basketball courts are still there. The athletic field is in great condition. There's break-ins and stuff, but I mean, it still looks like, it could open tomorrow if you just gave it, some TLC on the landscaping, and then maybe, I don't know, you patched up some holes in the wall. You could still reopen that. So that's but they're not maintaining it. They're just letting it sit because they don't know what to do with it. Originally, they were going to make it into another school. Maybe they were going to call it like Oakdale College or something. There were plans for that, but nothing ever got filed since 2018 when that was set to happen. So what I find very concerning is that, the Chinese Communist Party owns this company that owns Dowling College right now. And it's like 100-something acres of land that is owned by the Chinese in the United States. Now, the Chinese own much more than 100 acres of land. They own around the country. They own farmland and warehouses and all this other shit. Even in Long Island, they buy houses. I think out in Great Neck, they own like a bunch of fucking houses, random houses. And what they do is they create these fake LLCs and they purchase the homes with the LLC because corporations are considered people in the United States, thanks to Citizens United. And they purchase random homes. I had a friend of mine that I worked with. His name is David Levenstein. Rest in peace. And his brother sold his home to these Chinese guys that came up to him. They just knocked on his door and they said, "We'll give you $1 million for this home right now." And this was before homes were really ridiculous. I think the house at the time was worth $300,000 to $400,000, and they were like, "We'll give you $1 million in cash right now to move out." And he did. He sold to the Chinese. So, David's brother did that. So it was just very, that's how they do it. That's how they get footholds here. And listen, like, they're not just doing it for clean purposes. They're doing it. They all work with the Communist Party. If you're a business owner in in China, you have to be affiliated with the Communist Party, especially if you're a multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation and you're Chinese, you have to be in the party. And basically, they're buying up all this land. And a lot of these secret police stations, they operate out of Chinese restaurants, believe it or not. Chinese restaurants, random warehouses, random houses and shit. They're buying up all this property and they're using it for fucked up purposes to mess with people around the country. So, and do very nefarious things. They in Queens, they tried killing a guy that was running for a Democratic position in office, and they killed a lawyer and they were both very anti CCP, and they actually defected in the 80s and came over here because they were going to get killed because they were leading the democratic movement in China in the 1980s. So they came here. That's what's very concerning about all this, is that right there on Long Island, right here, there are multiple properties owned by the Chinese Communist Party just here. After all this fucked up shit happening around the country with police stations and viruses and now these labs, now you got all this going on too, right here in Long Island. What else happened? Oh yeah, so Maricopa County admitted knowledge of having, their voting machines break down and potentially miscount votes during the 2020 election. I'm not going to get into that because I don't know much beyond that. But Maricopa County and Arizona have been slowly saying, yeah, we may have fucked up. So, very interesting to see how that's going to play out. People were sympathizing with Osama bin Laden's letter to America on TikTok. A lot of Gen Z. So if Gen Z is listening to this, you guys are fucking retards if you acknowledge or support that letter. Basically, Osama bin Laden's letter to America was published in the days following the 9/11 attack, explaining why he attacked the United States. And, genuinely, he hated us for our freedoms. And because we supported the state of Israel and we were involved in the Middle East in the 80s. So basically, his whole thing was, you're supporting Israel. You shouldn't do that. You're involved in the Middle East. Get out. We don't like that you're working with Saudi Arabia. So basically, Osama bin Laden's family works with the Saudi government. And Osama bin Laden was like a fucking billionaire because his family worked with America to help develop Saudi Arabia's oil. And Osama was like, nah, that's haram. And, blah, blah, blah. So he was like really pissed off that, because in his mind, the Saudi government was selling out Saudi Arabia to the great Satan because, they were like, oh, he was like, you value money over Allah. So that was one of the reasons why. The second thing is that he didn't like that the United States was accepting of homosexuality, of promiscuity, of loans with interest, and something else. He basically was like, we don't like the financial center of the world. And then he said, oh, you killed our people, so we're going to kill yours. Now, I'm going to be so honest with you, bro. Like, if you sympathize with this dude after reading the letter. So I read the letter, and I'm just very briefly summarizing it because now the letter has been taken down by The Guardian because everyone was reading it and supporting it. I don't think they should have done that. I think that was a very weak move on the part of The Guardian, but they're journalists, so they're pussies by nature. First off, it's our business as Americans to determine who we want to support internationally and who we don't want to support internationally. That's our right to self-determination. We have every right to determine who we want to enter into alliances with. Osama bin Laden cannot determine who is right and wrong for America to align with. We wanted to align with Israel, so we aligned with Israel. We were fighting communism in the Middle East in the 80s, and then, nationalists in the 90s. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't really know. That's just our foreign policy. I mean, Osama bin Laden isn't really the arbiter of what's right and wrong because he flew 5 passenger commercial jets into buildings and the fallout of which this attack is still killing people to this day. So he can go fuck himself because he's complaining about us killing civilians and international war crimes. So his response is, oh yeah, let's do the same thing. That'll really show America that we're the virtuous and the right. Get the fuck out of here. A lot of Gen Z too wasn't alive during 9/11, so I guess they don't really understand the severe impact of it and what that did for an entire generation of millennials. and what that meant for America as a whole. And it was a day of mourning, and a lot of people didn't even know what we were like doing in the United States, and especially over in the rest of the world too. But here's the kicker, right? Osama bin Laden blamed the entire American people because of our tax dollars and that we voted for the people that represent us in Congress who decided to go to war in the Middle East. And that's why he attacked us. Now, what's so funny about these TikTokers is that America as an entire entity and a being, that means the people as well, have been declared the enemy of Islam and the Middle East. And that in order for the war between the Muslim world and America to end is for America to convert to Islam and to get rid of our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and replace it with Sharia law. What these fucking morons don't understand, I'm talking about the TikTok people, is that whether they sympathize or not with Osama bin Laden, they are going to be seen as the enemy of Osama bin Laden, of Islam, until the only way they're going to be seen as allies to Islam is if they fight for Islam and convert to Islam and then work to implement Sharia law in the United States. That's the only way that those people are going to view you as exempt from the wrath of Allah and the jihad. So supporting Osama bin Laden and supporting Hamas is fucking stupid because you are going to be seen as the enemy unless you do some serious shit, and you're going to get put on a watch list or killed if you do that stupid shit. And then you got to live with that guilt for the rest of your life that you betrayed your country and you killed your own people. So that's why I think it's very stupid for people to declare support for Al-Qaeda or Hamas, because it's, one, it's performative, two, it makes you look like an idiot, and three, if you're serious about it, you're going to get fucking killed, and you deserve to get killed, because if you're going to commit terrorism on behalf of Islam or anything, really, you're a piece of shit. And speaking about terrorism, today there was a explosion that no one really knows about, but a vehicle, a truck or a van, drove from Canada into Buffalo or Niagara, wherever the Niagara Falls Rainbow Bridge is, wherever that is. I think it's Buffalo. Drives through that checkpoint and then blows up. So all of the travel between Canada and the United States, over the bridges and the highways and stuff, and I think it was Western Canada, I don't remember, but basically into New York. Yeah, all the travel through into New York from Canada by bridge and road has been closed off. And no one knows why this happened. No one knows why there was an explosion. There's nothing. The governor, Kathy Hochul, said that there has been an incident on the Rainbow Bridge, and we're looking into it. That is all the governor said. There's just an incident. Like, oh yeah, there was a little incident. Like, the fucking bridge got attacked. There was a bomb that went off on the fucking bridge. A truck exploded. Like, just be real with people. Like, that's so weird. Like, what incident? Very weird. So we're in a very, very dangerous time where we have Islamic extremism making a comeback and some people supporting it without realizing its consequences. Because, again, Gen Z didn't see 2 buildings fall down and, whole communities ripped apart by people never being found. Now, I'm technically part of Gen Z, but I was, born in 99 in January. So, I'm, an older Gen Z border. I was considered a millennial until, the 2000 teens, honestly. But yeah, so those kids weren't really around for 9/11. Generation Alpha, forget it. That's ancient history to them. So they don't understand the gravity of it, which is why it makes sense they're supporting. Because oh, okay, well that makes sense. We killed their people, so they're gonna kill our people. It makes sense. Wow, that we really shouldn't have been there. I mean, seeing the forest for the trees, man. Just not even understanding the whole concept of. Not even understanding the whole concept of fighting Islamic extremism, and this is the thing too, their whole style of life will not exist under Sharia law. Like, you want to be gay, you're getting fucking stoned to death and scalped. I mean, like, you should want to bomb the shit out of them. I have no problem going to war with extremist countries. I don't care. Um, I used to care. I'd be like, no, there's no need for war. But it's like, you really look at it, it's like these people want to fucking kill us. Like they really want to kill us. They don't hate us for our freedoms. They hate us for our way of life. They're okay with like, well, I guess freedom of speech and all that, our freedoms are our way of life. Yeah, they really hate us for our freedoms. I mean, literally like half of Osama's letter to America was complaining about the Constitution and gender equality and sexual equality. Like, so a lot of it was just that. And I'm like, I don't understand how as a progressive you can look at radical Islam and find allies in that. It's the same people, and it's so funny because the people that are supporting radical Islam are the people that are denouncing, Christian theocrats and Christian conservatives and evangelicals where they advocate for the same thing almost, where it's the woman is naturally submissive to the man, homosexuality bad. You put a crucifix on any one of those motherfuckers, the progressive will lose their damn mind and call them a Christo-fascist and a cishet and a this and a that, and decry them as fascists and the enemy of democracy. And then you got Johnny Jihad with a fucking bomb strapped to his chest, and they want to run up to the guy and give him a hug. I mean, it's like they both want the same thing, where their religion is seen as the only religion, and their religion rules law and is the supreme law, and that subverts anything, even country and family. We live in a secular country, and we have a lot of anti-secular theocratic forces that now want to destroy the United States. It's no longer the fight between fascism. It's no longer the fight between communism. Now it's the fight against religion, trying to turn the secular world into a theocratic world. Essentially, we may be seeing a crusade. So that's where we are now as a country. The Xi Jinping visit was like the biggest thing I wanted to talk about. China owning a lot of our land was the big thing I wanted to talk about. Something that I always like was kicking around, especially if they own a space like a college, was like people should just go there and hold like events and try to actually like take over the space and force like the local government to just seize the property. Not even buy it back, just seize the fucking property, because we should not have to pay the Chinese Communist Party for our land. And a lot of people are like, well, it's public land or it's private land. It's like, no, it's American land. It's our land. The county should seize it and then put it up for auction for actual local companies or entities that are not affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party or any country, because there are other countries too that buy up land here and buy up businesses here. I don't think they should be allowed here either. But the Chinese communists specifically want to destroy the United States. So that's why it's a much bigger issue when talking about, the Communist Party owning farmland as opposed to like someone from the Netherlands. Anyway, that was episode 280 of Backpacking America. Thank you again for listening. And as always, until next time, and have a very happy Thanksgiving.